This is Deborah Johnson for Women at Halftime, and I'm passionate about helping women use their untapped skills, resources, and talents to create their ideal work and lifestyle, making a difference in their second half. Well, hello, this is Deborah Johnson. Great to be back with you again today with a really fun episode. You need to hear this episode all the way through, titled Stupid and Funny Things We've Done Together Through the Years. And I'm with my husband, Greg. Say hello.
Hi, everybody.
Yeah. And I thought we would air a really fun episode like this. When this airs, it'll be middle of December, right in the middle of holidays. Maybe people are feeling stressed and all of those things, and like, what are we going to do this year? And I thought it'd be fun to do a little lighthearted. And plus, we're looking at, next year, it'll be another year for us being together. We've been together a lot of years. And a little reminder that right now, Learn Music Again is, the cart is still open for another week, that you can join that program. You can get any one of 3 levels. I encourage you to do the VIP because you get a new song every single month, and it'll really move you ahead in your music. And if you are stressed at all, that's a really good way to alleviate some of your stress and get some encouragement along the way. One of the biggest problems for people is the accountability. So learnmusicagain.com and give that gift to yourself. So as we look forward to this little subject here, we have some very funny things that we will share. And we're thinking about family time too, and just encouraging people just to kind of look at some of the humor behind that. And do you have any comments on that, Greg, before we start in maybe on our number one?
No, we just, we kind of thought that given that December's kind of, family time to kind of get warm and cozy, reflect, that you might enjoy our funny times, and maybe they'll spur some funny conversations for your family during this time.
It's a lot funnier after they happen, usually, when you...
That's true.
And I thought it'd be fun to come up with some sort of solution for each one of these. We may not have the solution for all of them.
Yeah, one thing I've noticed is that I get to embellish more the farther back in the past they go. So they do get funnier.
Yeah, and Greg is prone, if you have never met him, he is prone to exaggeration.
What?
Now and then. It's like I'm always correcting. It's like, never get the numbers exactly right.
Yeah. From Debbie's standpoint, I'm exaggerating. From my standpoint, I'm getting it exactly right.
He's a good estimator. So now we met and married very quickly. We never, usually don't advise our kids to do this, but we met on a blind date and were engaged 6 weeks later, wasn't it? And married 4.5 months. It was really quick. And so you were playing professional baseball, and it was our extended honeymoon, because we really didn't have much of a honeymoon. We had a 3-day honeymoon that, before spring training started. And so one of my memories on that trip across the country is we went on something called the banana diet. Okay, so what were your memories of the banana diet?
Okay, so to set the context, I was playing minor league baseball and basically ate anything I wanted to because, I was exercising so much, I didn't have to worry about gaining any weight. Debbie, on the other hand, was, trying to stay in perfect shape, she wanted to be able to fit in her wedding dress, like, for the rest of her life. And so,
which I might.
So driving on our honeymoon's the first time I'd ever experienced a diet. So, and wanting to be the compliant husband, Deb would come up with all sorts of things, like we went through the whole that banana cake was healthy for us phase, or carrot cake, or granola with lots of honey was sure to be healthy for us.
Yeah, nuts.
So, and you got to remember this was the 80s, and we hadn't advanced quite as far as we have now. Yeah. So, in the context of carrot cake being health food and wanting to maintain our our physical condition while we're driving. We were driving across the country, so we were putting in long days on the road, and obviously you can gain some weight if you don't eat right. Debbie came up with the banana diet, and I'm sure she read it somewhere with a lot of credibility, like Good Housekeeping or Reader's Digest. I'm sure that's where it came from. But she was convinced, as she is prone to be, that this was the way to maintain our health.
Yeah, it was.
So go ahead, tell them about the banana diet.
Well, it didn't work. Well, the main reason is that, we were starving. And so the moment I remember the first time we were like looking for a steakhouse or something. So we really...
I think the idea is that bananas and lots of water would kind of keep us feeling full.
Yeah, feeling full. And, bananas supposed to be good. They're fruit, all that. I don't know where I read all that, But anyway, we realized that usually we have to think through these fad diets and all of that together. But it did make for good conversation.
Well, shortly on the heels of the banana diet was the popcorn diet.
Yeah, the popcorn. And I had brought an electric skillet with us on that trip across the country. We were in my little Toyota Celica. And I brought that, and we used that almost every night, and we did popcorn. In that little electric. It makes actually really good popcorn. And that was it. That was another.
But just FYI for those of you out there, popcorn for dinner is not as good as the steakhouse. No. Just saying.
And my new husband was like, "Oh, where's the food? Where's the real food?" So anyway, that was our principle on that. And I'm going to go to now one of the stupid and funny things. Maybe it was that I did and not we together.
One lesson we learned from the popcorn and banana diets is that maybe fad diets aren't the way to go.
Yeah, that was a very important.
I think
principle.
We've come a long ways on nutritional understanding.
We even have on my website. I even have nutritional downloads, and we've had a son.
I know,
a trainer,
and now that they know how far we've come,
if they listen to this,
that
we'll
podcast will really be impressive.
In trouble.
Yeah.
Our kids will go, "You did what?"
Yeah.
What?
Hopefully they're not listening.
Yes. Well, another one that's in my mind is the importance of good directions. That was like the principle because how we got lost. And this was still, I'm kind of focusing when we were first married. Mm-hmm. We might have to do a bunch of these episodes now and then because we've done a lot of, but we're still getting along. That's kind of that's the point of this, is that we were on a turnpike in Johnstown, Pennsylvania, going to Johnstown, Pennsylvania, and anybody know about turnpikes? You don't have exits for a very, very long time. And
also remember, this is the 80s, so we didn't have GPS.
No GPS, no cell phones. Boy, that makes me feel pretty old. But it is. All we had were these sort of directions, that is in Johnstown.
We had a map.
Yeah. So we learned, one of the basic principles that we learned is not totally to give me in charge. Get
you in charge of directions.
Directions. I tend to be a little bit directionally challenged because I looked up. I was doing some sort of project. I think I was in the middle of doing some needlework.
Or you were doing thank you cards for our wedding. Still,
We had a very large wedding. Yeah. So I was still, working on something. And when I looked up, I said, "Oh, I think we were supposed to get off there." I don't know how long it took.
And I looked at you lovingly.
You did not look at me lovingly. No, it was like, what?
We're in the middle of Pennsylvania on a turnpike headed west.
Yeah, it was not fun. Anyway, I think the whole principle of this.
Wait. You didn't tell them that it was 7 miles till the next turnoff.
Oh, it was at least 7 miles. Yeah. And then I think this particular time we were on a Sunday as well. And in Johnstown, Pennsylvania, there was nothing open in the 80s on a Sunday. There was one little dive bar or something. No phones. I mean, we had to find some sort of a.
Yeah. So by the time we got back to Johnstown, we had to get out. When we got off the exit, the directions weren't weren't the same because
Yeah.
the ex didn't drop us off at the place that they were anticipating us getting dropped off.
Yeah.
So we were totally lost.
Yeah.
And it literally took a half hour to find a phone booth.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
There was nothing open.
Nothing. So, yeah, that was a challenge. But we got through it, and we ended up being at our friends. It's one of your baseball buddies that we were visiting them. And we had a very, very good time. But yeah, getting there, it was interesting, I'm looking at you now thinking, it's good to laugh about now, but
I think one of the takeaways should be to stack your priorities. Getting on the right off ramp in this case, in my mind, was the priority.
Yeah.
Getting the thank you cards done should have come secondary. So,
well, I guess it's which point of view you're coming from.
Exactly.
There were a lot of thank you cards. We had a large wedding. Well, let's move on now. On number 3, if we get to this, I really remember our first little apartment was so very hot. We were upstairs in this little apartment, no air conditioning, and it was so hot that summer. And my parents were going to be gone for a couple of days, and we thought, why don't we go over to their house? And why don't we bring, it's so nice outside, why don't we bring the sofa bed mattress outside? People listening to this, you're going to be laughing because we really thought, we're just going to have the greatest night's sleep sleeping under the stars.
Yeah, so we slept in the backyard under the stars in Long Beach.
Yeah.
On a mattress we'd pulled off the sofa bed.
Yeah. And in the morning, we woke up and we were drenched.
Now, you got to imagine Debbie's hair wet when she wakes up. It was just quite the sight.
Yeah, it was drenched, and we're thinking, what happened? Did it rain?
Now, what was funny is your hair was wet, but because we'd been under a sheet,
we
were dry.
Yeah.
The sheet was soaked, and Debbie's hair looked like a poodle had just gotten a bath,
which is not a pretty sight. Anyway, but I just was thinking, like, what happened? What was so wrong? We were supposed to have under the stars. But we really realized, we were very fortunate, I think, that the sprinklers did not come on. That would have been another added bonus, wouldn't it? At least my dad.
But in this case, it was just the dew.
It was the dew, yeah. And it was so heavy. And I think the principal, we learned never to do that again. But, but number 2, we also, came up with all sorts of fans in our apartment. We never told my parents. I never told them that we actually took their mattress outside, but it was pretty funny.
Yeah, so from then on, we developed this increment set of fans.
Yeah.
So I'd set the fan up on the west window so it'd pull cool air in at night.
Yeah.
And then on the east window, the fan was pointed out to blow the warm air out.
Right.
So, and that ended up working really well. But we were compelled to do this because we realized sleeping outside was probably not an option.
It was not an option, no. But we found that from experience. And so some of you that are laughing, you're going, boy, that sounds so stupid. But you know what? When you're young and we just thought,
And as you can tell, we didn't always think through everything.
No. And I don't know who that's true, but I'll take a lot of blame for that. Okay, so there was another one because sometimes cooking tends to be a little bit more of a challenge for me,
or an afterthought.
We had just gotten this new microwave, and there was this recipe book.
Now, this is again early in our marriage.
Early in our marriage,
probably gotten our first microwave, right?
Yeah, it was our very first microwave, and we were still in that upstairs. I call it the hot box, the apartment. And we had this nice little microwave. It was a nice size microwave. And in my recipe book, there was a recipe for turkey, a microwave turkey. And so I thought, I'm going to save a lot of time this year, and I'm going to microwave the turkey. So I got it ready, and I don't remember if we even had people over. It might have been just our dinner. I don't know, because if we had people over, I probably went out to the store and bought something, because that turkey, as I remember, looked like it was emancipated, like this. Just a skeleton after I was done.
It was all shriveled.
It was shriveled up. It was really dry. I couldn't even get any of the meat hardly off of it.
She doesn't remember, but we had both of our parents coming over.
Oh, is that what we did? I don't remember that.
And the thought of her being embarrassed in front of my mom, in front of her mom.
Yeah.
So she actually did a pretty good job of salvaging that, but I can see why she wouldn't remember it past the point of shock.
Shock.
Because the look on her face was amazing.
It was, my goodness. Well, and what I learned is just, to make sure you do a little more research. Now, of course, I mean, we didn't even have a computer at that time. I mean, it was literally.
Now you could YouTube the whole thing.
Now I could YouTube the whole thing, and I would know, no, do not microwave a turkey. Yeah, but some people listening to this, you're going to go, oh, that was so stupid. But again, the title of today is Stupid and Funny Things.
Although that reminds me of your other cooking experience,
oh, no.
where you ran out of sugar and decided you could substitute honey into a lemon meringue pie.
Oh, my dad never let me forget about that. Never. And anybody, I do have a couple of recipes.
Yeah, for some reason, Debbie's recipe book, it's online, but it's never been sold.
I know. No, I have a couple of good standards, and those are the only ones I put out. So anyway, well, I'm going to kind of go to, we have a bunch of things, again, so we're going to have to end up doing another session of this at some point. But I remember on our first anniversary, I don't know the reason why we didn't have more money with us. We had a little checkbook, or did we not have? Maybe we only had
I can't remember. Card? I know at the time we were trying to live on a budget, so we had decided not to use credit cards, and we were doing everything by cash.
Yeah, okay.
And remember, this is before debit cards, so you literally could do everything by cash.
Yeah.
And so we'd gone to the hotel on our first anniversary, and I'd paid cash for it, paid cash for the gasoline, and we were just up in Santa Barbara, which is about 2 hours away, and and one of the things that I had learned was traditionally that you eat your leftover wedding cake on your first anniversary.
Yeah, the top of it.
Obviously, I had never heard of that before. So I was, again, dutifully going along. And so we finished the weekend, and we decided to come home.
Yeah, we decided to come home and then figured out that we all we had was that top of that wedding cake, and it was carrot cake, so of course it was very nutritious and healthy. Yeah. But we were eating this and thinking, we probably should have a little bit more protein, and I only had, I think, in my wallet enough change between us, which is now, if you think about this, you're thinking, you guys were so stupid. But all we had enough money for was one McDonald's hamburger. And I think it was like 39 cents or something ridiculously low back then. But we went through and we went into that McDonald's, got one hamburger, split it, and then we ate wedding cake on our way home. But we were very fortunate in that, and but what we learned was, to do a little more planning before you do take these trips. And now, as we look back, we're thinking stupid and funny things. We should have brought a little bit more cash and all of that. But sometimes you just don't even know. But we were on a budget,
so we had spent what we had allotted to have, and but it was pretty funny thinking that all we could afford was a 39-cent hamburger.
Yeah, that was.
And praise the Lord for the wedding cake.
Yes.
I'm sure, though, that I drove a little bit fast, got home in 2 hours, and there was food back in our apartment.
Yes. Yeah, because, I mean, you're used to eating a lot. Well, my dad always called my sisters and I vultures. Birds. We were birds, and he would call us vultures because we did eat quite a bit. So anyway, well, and another little a memory that we had, and actually this might have been coming home, might be out of order here a little bit, from our spring training, or it was coming home from Arizona. We made some trips out there anyway to Tucson between times because we had some friends out there, but that's where spring training was when we were first married. But we had stopped at a hotel in La Jolla thinking that, we've got this
glamorous city, La Jolla.
Yeah, we'd love to stay here in La Jolla. And I mean, we were only an hour and a half from home. I mean, it was just like, we could have made that trip. We thought, we'll stay in this hotel. And they told us that all they had available was like a room with twin beds. We thought, okay, so we'll just put the beds together. We'll be all right. And this is when we were I think we were fairly young, first married.
It was within the first year.
Yeah, it was within the first year. So what we did was we did push those beds together, but we put the mattresses across, thinking...
Well, we were afraid that if you just pushed them together, that the middle would split.
Yeah.
And, one of us would fall in it.
Yeah. But we put them across the other way.
So we put them across the other way. Guess what happened?
It was one of the worst nights sleep. I still remember that horrible night's sleep.
So both of our rear ends were in the crack, pushing the mattress away. Yeah. So, we slept horribly. Like in a V shape.
Yeah, and we're thinking, we just spent this money that, anyway. So, yeah, but it was fun. But what it really taught us was, sometimes you think something's going to be very fun and glamorous and all of this, and you need to, kind of do something special. But those times don't always end up to be exactly what you think they are.
Yeah, sometimes the build-up for an experience is way better than the experience.
Yeah, definitely.
And actually, that ends up costing people a lot of money sometimes, is that they convince themselves in the build-up that we need to experience this, or our kids need to experience that.
Yes.
And, we end up spending money, and then the letdown is way worse than the money spent.
Yes, yeah. And right now, we can laugh about this, but then it was like, why did we do this? And you kind of question that, and you really have to just let some of those things go. You can't just dwell on some of those.
No, way better to laugh about it.
Yeah, and of course we're a long way from that one, so which is good because there's been a lot of other little things. We're going to get just a couple more little things today. What's something that you remember here that you want to focus on, because we have plenty of stupid and funny things that we have done through the years, but it just makes it fun to sit back and laugh sometimes. Our kids will end up remembering.
So when the kids were late teens, we decided we'd spend some money and have them experience a cruise.
Oh, yeah.
So we did this cruise out of Long Beach down to Mexico, which was, the whole cruise was 3 days.
Yeah.
And, you hit Catalina and then you head south. Well, because we wanted it to be a family time, and the kids were still young enough, we decided to book all of us in one cabin.
They'll never let us
and
forget.
Deb and I sincerely thought this would make for great family time. We'd build this together. And so you open this closet that's been advertised as a cabin, and literally, you had to. There was maybe a foot of aisle space between the beds, and there was bunk beds in there too. There was like a double bed for us and single beds for the kids.
Yeah.
And a bathroom that, I had a hard time turning around in. So we get in there and, the kids don't say anything the first night. Before we go to bed. But, they're like rolling their eyes, looking at each other, going, okay. And that night, apparently both I and our youngest son snore. So any pretense of thinking that this was going to be cool, fun, and a family time was gone by morning with our other two boys. Oh, man. It was hysterical.
It really was.
The looks and the snide remarks. It was so fun. And again, this is one of those that embellishments over time. You should hear the boys tell the story now. So, 10, 15 years have gone by, and this is one of their highlights. So I guess we succeeded in creating family time.
Memory. And in fact, I think our son Daniel had bought, before we even, you could tell he was Mr. Prepared. I mean, even some of our camping trips, he brought Christmas lights. I mean, he was Mr. Prepared for almost every trip. But he...
Tell him what he brought.
He brought earplugs.
For everybody.
For everybody. Everybody. I think Greg's and David's were the only ones that worked. They did not work for us. Well, they probably drowned out their own snoring. It did not work for us. Yeah, and that story does kind of build and build and build.
Dan had anticipated problems and brought, which brings us to Dan and a camping trip. So he's like 12, 13.
Yeah.
And we were in a tent trailer camping. And, at that stage, they didn't mind being in a tent trailer. So there's no problems. But he brings, instead of bringing like a knapsack or a backpack on this camping trip, he brings a suitcase. and you just have to know Dan, and he's kind of particular, always has been.
Yes.
We knew it too. He was going to be an attorney. Yeah, he just kind of has an insistent side about him. So he opens up his suitcase, and he's got a 30-foot long extension cord. He's got a power strip, and he's got probably 40-foot string of Christmas lights, so that he can have illumination outside at night.
And he hung them all.
It was hysterical. So if you can imagine a tent trailer with Christmas lights around it.
And what I remember, too, about that trip is that every moth and bug that you could imagine at night was attracted to the Christmas lights. And we were trying to play cards.
Oh, yeah.
And you'd get all these buzz, buzz, buzz all around us, though. But again, I think the point in all of this is that you can have some stupid and funny things to take the time. And I don't want to encourage everybody, especially at this time of year, take the time to remember some of those times together, and especially as you are either looking forward to or dreading times that you have together with family members. But how you focus and create the setting for that can really make the times a lot less stressful, create laughter. And just like we're laughing now, it wasn't as funny when we were so exhausted when we woke up from those mattresses how they are. Because my thought was, I'm always a little more worried about money. And so my thought was, we just wasted all this money. We had the worst night's sleep we've ever had. And my thought was, with the mattress outside, like, oh, I hope we didn't ruin the mattress, and all that stuff. But, everything was okay. It all ends up being okay, and we didn't die from eating wedding cake,
no.
Just by itself,
but
or in its sugar.
I think one of the things we've experienced is as we bring up these moments when all the family's together, and we just let the kids embellish, exaggerate, laugh, tell stories on each other, it creates good family times around the holidays. Yes. And that's kind of what we're hoping will happen here.
Good.
The reason we remember all these stories is we brought them up at family times.
Yes.
and anytime you're self-deprecating, it's safe. And, some people have a tendency to pile on a little too much, but that's okay.
Depends how many glasses of wine they have.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I think the important thing is, don't be afraid to laugh at yourself. Let others laugh with you. It's okay. And create some of those memories, lighten it up a little bit. Doesn't have to be all serious doom and gloom, but it was really fun. And we'll probably end up having to do another segment like this because we have not even scratched the surface of some of the stupid and funny things. We have some other very, very funny things that have happened. But as we look forward to spending time we have adult kids now and creating those times that are just times to hang out and that are nurturing a relationship. We're not training them anymore. They're making their own decisions sometimes, and you're wondering, okay, is that really wise? But you have to just let that go at this point and really realize, they're going to have their own stories, and they're going to look back and say, oh, look what I did. And we're going to go, yeah, we remember. So, so anyway, that's kind of the whole point of this. So, and we just want to encourage you to have fun, have a wonderful holiday season. And I'm going to remind you for next week that we have technology tools you'll need for the new year. So make sure you tune into that. I'm going to focus on 5 main ones. I'll give you a couple more. And then, of course, I have many more resources for you. But you'll want to make sure you tune into that. Deborah Johnson here for goalsforyourlife.com, womenathalftime.com. And I will look forward to being with you next time. So bye for now. Thank you for joining us on Women at Halftime. Visit goalsforyourlife.com or womenathalftime.com for many more resources, downloads, and programs, or to get in touch with me. I'd love it if you leave me a review and tell your friends. So until next time, this is Deborah Johnson, signing off.